I'm fully prepared with everything I need for the Jay-Z documentary. The moment he sent that legal letter, I knew I had to let the world see who he really is. He and Diddy are cut from the same cloth. He just hides his arrogance and control behind a cleaner image. Our feud has lasted 20 years, and I know better than anyone what he's done in the shadows. I even suspect that so-called funeral bouquet wasn't Diddy's idea at all, but Jay-Z acting on his behalf. Back when Nicki Minaj posted that video of him wearing a pink wig, all I did was repost it, and he got so nervous he had his lawyers threaten me. In 2015, Nicki worked her ass off helping him build his platform, and he allegedly pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. And then there's his fingerprints all over key incidents through the years, whether it's the elevator footage or the guest list at Diddy's parties. He was involved, clearly, but somehow he always walks away untouched. That's what he's best at, pulling strings behind the scenes while pretending to be spotless in public. And now that a corner of the darkness has been ripped open, I'm not stopping. Everything my team and I are doing isn't about attacking anyone. It's about making sure the truth can't be buried by him ever again.
He ain't answering the phone? He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
Yeah, it's like this, like
We had a black billionaire's lunch.
black excellence. They're sitting there like, yeah. It's a billionaire brunch. You're like,
I hate you, man.
And we here together, and we're gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Yo, I feel like I'm normal again. Get me out of here.
Jay-Z is under intensifying pressure as reports surface claiming private communications between him and Diddy may have been exposed, setting off a wave of online reaction. The development has pushed Jay-Z into an uncomfortable spotlight, reopening long-standing speculation about his close ties to Diddy and past associations now being re-examined with sharper focus. As these alleged exchanges dominate public discussion, old narratives are being revisited and perceptions are shifting fast. Momentum is building, and the growing storm now threatens to challenge Jay-Z's reputation, influence, and carefully built legacy in a way few moments ever have.
Sean Carter aided and abetted or was directly involved. It's about to get real tense, and there's a lot of girls and boys who are still trapped inside.
In past interviews, 50 Cent has been clear that he never embedded himself in Diddy's inner circle, explaining that certain invitations and environments immediately raised red flags and pushed him to step away early. That intentional distance, he says, is exactly why he feels confident speaking without hesitation now. When allegations later surfaced, 50 maintained that he learned about them the same way the public did, through the media, and while he acknowledged their seriousness, he emphasized that the reports aligned with concerns he had recognized long ago rather than catching him off guard.
Explained that Jay-Z is worse than Diddy. She explained how Jay-Z has done worse things than what Diddy did to Cassie to other females. And she said that she has the scars to prove it. She alleged that at one time Jay-Z attacked her and got it on film like Diddy did. And she alleged that this is why Jay-Z is totally pulling away from Diddy and you don't see him around. And it's been alleged for quite a while that Jay-Z is pulling away from Diddy because he doesn't want himself caught in the crossfire. I mean, you even have 50 Cent at this point talking about how Jay-Z is in hiding while this whole Diddy thing blows over. And you even have these accusations of Jay-Z being responsible for what happened to Cassie White. So I'm going to go ahead and roll you guys this clip of everything that Jag had to say about Jay-Z being worse than Diddy. And you guys let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Sean Carter is just as bad as the diddler. And I know that for a fact. I got the scars to prove it. You want to know what a box cutter feels like going into your skin and ripping you? I can tell you how it feels. Y'all ain't seen shit yet. That Cassie shit, that's nothing. I'm saying Sean Carter remembers everything he did to me and he's got it on tape. just like Diddy. And they're going to be crazy. It's going to be the women that get them in the end.
As the investigation expanded, attention increasingly turned toward Jay-Z, with critics questioning his silence as developments around Diddy intensified. That reserved approach only fueled suspicion, leading some to believe his team anticipated his name surfacing in civil discussions and acted early to manage perception. Others cautioned that even without formal charges, reputational damage was already taking shape as social media amplified unverified claims and transformed uncertainty into rapid, hard-hitting consequences that proved difficult to contain.
Exactly what Jay-Z's accuser is saying, that even though she dropped the lawsuit, she still stands by what she says, and she only dropped it because of harassment and the fact that she's terrified of Jay-Z. She says that Jay-Z is allegedly bullying her into saying that her accusations were false. In fact, in new legal documents, she is claiming that she was recently approached outside of her home and cornered by two people who told her they were investigators working for one of Jay-Z's lawyers. He claims they tried to get her to sign an affidavit stating that her claims against Jay-Z were false, but she refused. Jane Doe also claims the alleged investigators asked her if her attorney, Tony Busby, sought her out as a client and offered her money to pursue false claims against Jay-Z, two allegations she says she denied. He says this alleged confrontation left her intimidated and terrified, wondering how they found her when her identity had remained anonymous in media reports and legal proceedings. He also claims that her parents were approached by two investigators asking similar questions about Busby and her story. In the new documents, she reveals she decided to drop the claim because she was frightened by the reaction from Jay-Z and his supporters. He says she feared she would be publicly outed and subjected to
Industry insiders have warned that a single criminal investigation could destabilize far more than one individual, extending risk to anyone seen within Diddy's immediate orbit, which is why many believe 50 Cent's documentary carries real weight. Rather than focusing on one figure, it aims to examine how power operated behind closed doors, who may have been aware of ongoing issues, and how accountability can ripple outward once serious scrutiny begins. Analysts have also questioned how Diddy remained protected for so long, pointing to strategic alliances and careful control of public narratives as rumors quietly circulated. Adding to the tension, reports later suggested he may be cooperating with authorities to strengthen his position, a development that, while unconfirmed, has heightened unease and raised the stakes across the entire industry.
Will Diddy start snitching?
He better. But the only thing I'm interested in him talking about is everything he knows about Kathy Coriana White. See, I know you know what happened to Corey. Diddy, I know that. You and Jay-Z. Down in Vegas at Tao with Claudia. Why don't you just talk about Kathy? That might help. That might help a lot. Kathy Coriana White, Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died 24 hours after she announced that she was going public with their relationship and the baby. While he was married to Beyonce. Was it an aneurysm, Diddy? Or are you the one who paid the same coroner that you... Oh, Diddy.
Now that the documentary has officially dropped, one thing is clear. This isn't a look back. It's actively shaping what happens next. Each new revelation sharpens the spotlight on those who stayed silent, with Jay-Z increasingly pulled into the center of that glare. The scrutiny carries real weight because his history with Diddy spans decades, making claims of distance harder for critics to accept. Tensions escalated when Gene Deal publicly challenged statements from Jay-Z's legal team that downplayed their closeness, arguing the narrative clashed with what many insiders had long observed. As more voices step forward and timelines are dissected, the pressure continues to rise, turning once quiet associations into unresolved questions that refuse to fade.
They was close enough that they wasn't playing basketball, they wasn't playing baseball, they wasn't playing football, and they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it, but I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, so I got to go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. When they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay-Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Hey, him and Pockets 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that
From Gene's viewpoint, the ease and familiarity between Jay-Z and Diddy spoke louder than any statement ever could. He pointed to an Atlanta concert moment where Diddy brought Jay-Z on stage, noting that their natural chemistry was impossible for the crowd to overlook, a clip that later resurfaced after 50 Cent highlighted it, keeping it in constant circulation online. When asked whether his perspective came from personal resentment, Gene dismissed that outright, saying it had nothing to do with loyalty or bias. Instead, he referenced a past disagreement that once carried real tension, only for Jay-Z to later brush it aside, a pattern Gene described as common among those at the top, figures who move through conflict, spark friction, and then continue unaffected, operating in a rarefied space far removed from everyday consequences.
Kids, these guys are, man, they'll cause situations and cause problems, and then they'll forget what they done because they on a whole nother atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit that he did, you got to understand, like now he'll say that they're kids because he's raising kids of his own. You understand? But how would you like it that if Blue Ivory, 15, 16 years old, 17, 18 years old, dating in his early 30s? You're not going to go for that. No matter what she came through in Hollywood. But you got to understand, guys who was around there, we didn't know Jay-Z them ages. We didn't know these cats' age. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having no beards and nothing like that. They was wearing low cuts. You understand? Clean face. I would have never believed when Jay was coming around the block, scooping up the young girls and stuff like that he was 30 years old. If they 17, 18, 16 years old and they 22, you thinking they 22, 23, something like that, 24 years old? They mom and them need to check them. They daddy and them need to check them. But that's not that far off. But for somebody to be 30 years old in their 30s and they dealing with kids 16 years old, 17, 18 years, now that's a problem. That's an issue. And now he see that because he's raising kids. And he got a young daughter. I think he got another daughter that he didn't claim and now he claiming them. These cats was doing a whole lot of stuff that people in the industry won't speak on. And then now that you're speaking on it and it's becoming where is that you can get on YouTube and you could talk about this shit and say what you seen or say what you heard, you understand, or what you know. Some people look at it being a problem. But these cats ain't street cats. They entertainers.
Dame Dash, once Jay-Z's closest collaborator, recently spoke on the serious allegations now surrounding him, explaining that what stood out most wasn't just the claims themselves, but the sheer force of the public reaction. Dame said that in all his years, he had never seen Jay-Z face this level of examination, noting how decades of power and influence had long made him appear untouchable, especially in mainstream media. That perception, he suggested, is now shifting with the protective shield beginning to crack and exposing Jay-Z to a degree of scrutiny rarely applied to figures of his stature, signaling a clear change in how even the most powerful names are challenged when attention intensifies.
Odd to see him in that, getting looked at in that way by white people, like Jay does, yeah, like I hope that shit didn't happen, but I'm like, damn, they turned the world real. Like people on a certain level have been fucking with him a certain way where he couldn't do no wrong for like 25 years straight. This is the first time he's not getting a pass with white media, like he can control black media because a lot of them either work or do business with him, but like, Drink Champs can't get him out of this one, and neither can Charlemagne, because those are the guys that hold him down no matter what he does anyway. So you got to get to People Magazine and Entertainment Tonight right now, because they on his head. But the question is why? Like, why now? Because for me, I'd be like, yo, that's so ridiculous. Yo, take that to trial. You're not going to win. Let's get a deposition or something. So I don't know why they on his head so much, pause. But I never seen him, under this, I never seen him in this position to have to explain himself. Pause.
How you feel about the statement he came out with?
I mean, I didn't hear him say anything. I heard a piece of, like I said, I'm doing an interview, so I talk. I thought it was long. For a statement, I thought it was long, pause. But, I think right now, his silence is the worst thing for him. If he is innocent, he needs to let people ask him questions, and he needs to be able to say his side of the story.
What stunned Dame most was seeing Jay-Z in unfamiliar territory, guarded, reactive, and under sustained pressure, a position he's rarely occupied across his career. For decades, Jay-Z moved without needing to explain himself publicly, which makes the current scrutiny especially striking. At the same time, questions keep surfacing about why 50 Cent remains so determined to challenge him, suggesting the Diddy connection alone doesn't tell the full story. Tony Yayo added context, explaining that tension between 50 and Jay-Z has simmered for years, rooted in rivalry and unresolved loyalty issues. Hip-hop has always thrived on competition where egos clash, but growth matters too. Yayo pointed to a recent show where 50 shared the stage with Dr. Dre, and Cameron appeared as well, showing old friction can be set aside. Cameron later noted that Jay-Z prioritizes business over culture, a point Yayo echoed, highlighting Jay-Z's frequent presence at high-level corporate events and absence from hip-hop moments that matter deeply to artists like 50, fueling ongoing questions about priorities and allegiance.
I don't think I would have said that he didn't know Puff at all or wasn't his friend. I thought that was a little extreme. I thought that was the wrong choice of words. I think that's going to trigger a lot of backlash. But the thing is, I never seen him get backlash at all. So that's what I'm saying. Now he getting backlash. Like, when did you know Jay-Z to be on his heels other than when he got beat up in the elevator? But that was nothing. But I've never seen him under the fire ever. Not in a long time. Not like, I've never seen people on his head like that, Paul. Ever.
Yeah, this might be my first time seeing people come at him like this.
Like I said, I didn't hear him say anything. Like, I'm not some white man speaking for another black man doesn't add up. It just doesn't work like that. Like, he doesn't know what to say on Jay's behalf. Jay would have to say that. So if he instructed him to say that, like, you don't even know if Jay told him to say that. He could have got off the stage and they was like, why'd you say that? He was like, I had to. You know, like, he probably said it because homeboy wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Like, I didn't hear him say anything. I haven't heard Jay say a word yet. Have you?
Nah, I haven't heard him say anything.
There it is. So y'all going by a piece of paper with words, don't get caught up in that. I have not heard him say one thing yet. You know? Until I see him speak, he hasn't spoke to me. That's why I said I don't think he did not say that. His lawyer said it. So what else is a lawyer gonna say?
Yayo highlighted a sharp contrast in accessibility between Jay-Z and 50 Cent, noting that while Jay-Z operates at the highest levels with deliberate distance, 50, despite equal influence, remains visible, grounded, and loyal to the people who helped build his foundation. He stressed that true stature comes from honoring where you came from, not separating from it. Yayo recalled a moment that stuck with him from the Super Bowl halftime show, where Jay-Z reportedly resisted including 50 until Eminem stepped in and made it clear he wouldn't perform without him. To Yayo, that moment wasn't about strategy or presentation. It carried a deeper personal weight, reflecting long-standing tension and an unspoken rivalry woven into their complicated history.
There was this one part where 50 was talking, and he was saying, yeah, when Yayo was locked up, every G-Unit show, we actually put aside the money.
Bro, I told
for him, and he had like a, he's like, Yayo had like $1 million.
Right. I just told you when I came out of my building, I see the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
There was no way I was getting shot there. And this is what I kind of tell you is like, when we was talking about stacks with the Porsche, 50's not going to let you say, get the Porsche. He going to say, let's get him out the hood first. You know, if the money's there, but the money has to be there for you to live like that. The money's there. 50 didn't have to do that. Rest in peace to Hervé from Interscope, because he always said to me, man, 50 do more for you than any artist, than anybody does for their artists, more than Jay.
Over time, insiders have suggested that the once solid bond between Jay-Z and Diddy began to fracture, with trust weakening and uncertainty growing over who would ultimately protect their own interests if circumstances shifted. Some voices went even further, with claims publicly raised by Jaguar Wright, but never substantiated, that Jay-Z may have played a quiet role behind the scenes in Diddy's downfall. Regardless of accuracy, the speculation underscores a harsh reality at the highest levels of influence, where alliances are conditional, loyalty is fragile, and power structures can change without warning, turning long-standing partnerships into strategic standoffs almost overnight.
Get a camera on.
Yeah.
He made a statement recently. He said that Jay-Z loves money more than hip-hop. And he pointed out that Jay-Z performed at Tom Brady's Hall of Fame ceremony, but he didn't perform in any Hip-Hop 50 events.
I mean, Jay-Z's on a whole nother level. Like, I mean, you know, true. He's like, but you know what I like about 50? 50's on a whole nother level, but he's still approachable. You still get to meet the people and and you know, Jay got to remember the people that made him. You know, I'm not saying I don't got respect. I respect Jay-Z, 50, used to respect, you know, Diddy, but all that crazy shit going on. But, you know, I always respected him because I looked at, for New York, those were like the, you know, the guys. You know what I'm saying? The guys with the most money and the most influence. So with Jay is like, when the last time you haven't seen Jay. So I think people are just going to say that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I mean, Jay, you know, you got to remember, he didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl. That was crazy. I'm like,
wait, Jay didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl?
You didn't know that? Yeah, he didn't want.
Well, I remember Eminem pushed for it.
That was some hater shit. Yeah,
I remember Eminem was like, I'm not going to do it unless 50 does it. I heard that.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that Jay was trying to stop it.
I don't think Jay. I don't know. 50 never told me that, but I don't think Jay wanted him there. I don't know.
Because of what? Some of the.
I mean, you know, it's competition. You got to think. 50 always been competition for Jay. Remember, I'm about $1. What the fuck is 50 Cent?
That was a long time ago.
That was what, 9? What? Was that 9?
But after that, they did a song together. Remember the whole,
but 50 was always competition for niggas. Then remember Jay said, yo, 50's coming. He told Siegel and them, and Memphis Bleak and all them.
Yeah.
And come on, 50's like, he's on a whole nother level. You got to remember, he came after niggas. He came after Jay and Rockefeller. G-Unit came. And people might shit on G-Unit, but with Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, nobody has outsold.
Roger Bonds, Diddy's former head of security, offered an insider perspective that adds complexity to the narrative, noting that while he observed Jay-Z and Diddy interacting, he never saw their relationship as genuinely close. According to Bonds, Diddy seemed to believe the connection carried more weight than it actually did, highlighting a disconnect between perception and reality. His account underscores how, at the highest levels of influence, surface-level familiarity can be mistaken for loyalty, and carefully maintained appearances often mask deeper distance. Insiders from Diddy's camp have similarly pointed out a clear imbalance, observing that Diddy consistently supported Jay-Z in ways rarely reciprocated. Behind closed doors, this pattern revealed uneven loyalty. Effort flowed heavily in one direction while mutual commitment remained limited, showing how alliances at the top can appear solid publicly while privately reflecting a lopsided dynamic.
He says to people, he goes into boardrooms and says to people, which I will never say, is he says, it's important for me to be a billionaire, because Black people need to be billionaires. And why does specifically he, at that time, I've had this conversation with white money people when they go, it's important that Jay-Z becomes a billionaire. And I go, why? And they said, because he wants to open up a casino. He wants to open up this. He should have an alcoholic brand. He needs to have a casino. He needs to have this. And you're like, why the fuck does anybody need a casino? Like another fucking casino
money
in this world.
And it makes it very possible for people to launder money all day.
Yeah. So like, why, even the fact that you want to become so powerful, then you're not saying because he needs to build schools for Black people in Black neighborhoods. It's because he wanted to build casinos for Black people.
For them to keep wasting their money, and then for him to keep giving them overpriced merchandise. It's a rat trap.
Yes.
All of it is. The sad part is that hip hop has now turned itself over to this greed machine and doesn't realize it's.
Jay-Z and Diddy were never tied by the deep loyalty the public assumed. They moved within the same elite circles, sharing success, access, and influence without a truly solid foundation. Over time, the lack of genuine allegiance became increasingly obvious, and the distance beneath the surface grew more pronounced. Now, with events unfolding in plain view, those long-hidden fractures are impossible to ignore, leaving the question of whether the widening divide will continue to intensify and ultimately affect them both.